So I'm here today with Mike Litz, our outgoing NEAC SAAC chair. He's also been a representative on Division III National SAAC over the last few years as well. So we wanted to take some time to catch up with Mike and really kind of wrap up his time in this role and talk about kind of where he's headed from here. So Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, so a few hard-hitting questions for you today. You've been our SAAC chair since fall of 2017. So really the last 3.5 years, you've been in that post and been a consistent leader in conference SAAC for us, and also really involved at the national level for just as long. You were a sophomore at the time when you stepped into that role. What made you want to step into a SAAC leadership role so early in your career as a student athlete?
Sure. What made me want to step into a conference SAAC leadership role so early was really a result of being inspired by what Penn State Abington was doing at the campus level. Even though I wasn't directly involved in the planning and some of the behind the scenes action of our events, before our conference meeting that weekend, Penn State Abington had actually just finished a community service event. We were helping rake leaves and work around the house for a few families. And it was really cool. It was really inspiring to see, just how a campus community, athletics or otherwise, could come together and really make an impact and make a difference. I was inspired by some of what we'd done our freshman year at the campus level, what we were doing at the campus level my sophomore year. And when I found out at the conference meeting that these conference SAAC leadership opportunities were available, I was definitely intrigued. And it took a little bit of a nudge from my SAAC advisor, Caitlin Fries, and the other Penn State Abington student athlete, Sam Friend, who was also attending. They definitely helped nudge me when they found out that I had some interest. And I'm so happy that they did. And then I tried my best in the next, half hour to come up with the best speech that I possibly could to convey my passion and my vision for what I thought SAAC could accomplish at the conference level. And here we are.
I know, time flies, right?
Absolutely.
Well, in addition to your role as a SAAC chair, as I mentioned, you've been involved at the national level, first serving as sort of a partner liaison and then stepping into a primary role on Division III National SAAC. Can you take a minute and talk a little bit about what it's been like to represent Penn State Abington, but also the NEAC as a National SAAC rep, and really what that role has entailed over the last couple of years?
Sure. To represent Penn State Abington and the NEAC at the national level has been such an honor and a privilege. I've learned so much from my experiences with Penn State Abington and with the NEAC. And really, for as much as I've learned from the conference and my campus, I wanted to learn just as much from everyone else at the national level. I mean, I had the chance through National SAAC to connect with and have extended conversations with so many student athletes across, so many sports, so many backgrounds, and to just honestly be able to take it all in and to be able to come back, to the NEAC and to Penn State Abington with ideas that never would have crossed my mind before, really helped me to learn, and I think went a long way into what I was able to bring to the table. Like I said, to conference meetings and to campus meetings as well.
Absolutely. What's one or two things about college athletics that you've learned as a member of SAAC, being a SAAC leader, either at the conference level or at the national level, that you don't think you would have even been aware of or known if you hadn't done so?
That's tough. I got to think about that before I truly
I told you, hard-hitting questions.
It's true. I would say one or two things that I've learned about college athletics through all of my roles. It's the importance of teamwork and the as cliche as it might be to say, given that, we're all a part of teams, whether it's, working at the conference office or, sharing the court or the field with one another, nothing gets done without, teamwork and without that shared vision and that willingness to get something done. It's never been easier to work on a team than it was with National SAAC, to be a part of, to be surrounded by such like-minded, passionate individuals who all shared a common goal of bettering Division III and making our conferences and campuses and our experiences so much better through everyone's 4 years of collegiate athletics competition. So I would definitely say teamwork above all else. I might have to get back to you with some others. Struggling a little bit off the top of my head, but I know they're there.
That's okay. That's okay. And what's funny about your answer is that I recently was going through some old NEAC files, and you'll be shocked that I found your SAAC officer nomination ballot from 2017, in which you really talk about developing a team culture and how that's important to you and really why you wanted to be a leader. So it's interesting that you say, really this time over the last few years really kind of drove home the importance of the aspect of teamwork and that team culture and how important that is in being successful and growing and making progress. So you were onto something. Even as a sophomore, you knew what you were talking about.
I guess I was. I didn't consult with 2017 Mike before the interview, but that's awesome. I'm glad that was something that I had written down, and I hope that it was something I was able to follow through on throughout my time with the NEAC and at the national level.
Absolutely. Mike, what advice would you have for somebody who's interested in getting involved in either conference leadership with the SAAC group or at the national level?
The best advice that I could give anyone who's looking to get involved with SAAC at the national level or the conference level is step one, to get involved. Just jump in. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a specific vision for what you want to do or what you want to accomplish, because there are so many ways to get involved. I mean, in my time with NEAC SAAC and National SAAC, we've run the gamut of initiatives and things that we've worked on. And there's always been something, whether it was me or somebody else on the committee, where they were able to shine. And for anyone who's looking to get involved at the conference level or the national level and might not know how, just go for it. You will find something that you will have success with, whether it's what we're immediately focusing on or something that we might focus on in the future. And you might have experiences from previous roles, non-athletics related or otherwise, that you can bring to the table, and there will always be an opportunity to do so. And everyone involved with SAAC at the conference or the national level wants to hear what you have to say. They want you to be there. They're all excited to be there. It's truly the best, most inclusive environment. So as I say, jump in. You don't necessarily have to be scared in doing so. I promise it's an open environment for any and all and their ideas.
And I think not being afraid of the unknown, that sometimes we feel like I'm not qualified or I don't know enough to be in that role, and to not be afraid of that, because you're going to learn so much being in that environment from others, and then just from the administrators that you work with as well. So I think not being afraid and just kind of taking a leap and getting involved is really key. And I think, Mike, you have probably seen that the voices of student athletes do have an impact in the decisions that are made, whether it's at the national level or even in conference meetings. we need to hear your voices and want to hear your voices. Can you think of any specific situation in which you really feel the student athlete voice made an impact in a decision that was made kind of in your tenure?
Sure. I can think a few different examples of where student athletes have really been heard. And at the conference level, in my 3 years as NEAC SAAC chair, in my first year, our initiative was mental health. That was an initiative driven by the will of the student athletes. In my second year, it was Special Olympics. It was an initiative that we really wanted to get behind because of the 50 for 50th challenge that National SAAC was spearheading in conjunction with our national partnership with Special Olympics. And it was something that we, as a conference, we hadn't really focused on before. So it was something that everyone was excited to get involved in. And then again, my third year, we went back to mental health. We wanted to place another focus on student athlete mental health. And with the events of the world, I'm so happy that we did. And then at the national level, I don't think there's a better example of the student athlete voice being heard than at the business session to conclude the NCAA convention every year, where National SAAC members have the opportunity to speak in front of at least one representative from every campus and conference across Division III and convey our position on legislation. And legislation might be something that, some campus SAAC members think is incredibly boring. They might think, oh my goodness, we have to do this every year. But the reality is the legislation has such an impact on the student athlete experience, and it's so important that the student athlete voice be heard when talking about legislation. And I've seen votes sway. I've seen convention rooms change their stance. We've felt it after National SAAC members have read their position papers and spoken. I can point to an example where a National SAAC member single-handedly, off the cuff, swayed the vote on a piece of legislation. It's that critical, it's that important to the membership that the student athlete voice be heard. And the reality is, I would hope that administrators and representatives don't want to make decisions for the student athletes without consulting the student athletes. They don't want to tell us, this is what you should be involved in, this is how your experience should be. And I think Division III certainly, is an example of what's right and listening to the student athlete voice.